with as far as ambulance services go is Union and New Providence. The rest of the county is basically Iowa Falls. So Iowa Falls took a vested interest in our service to keep it afloat and try to help in whatever way. But then when that came about, Eldora wanted to take also a vested interest in our service to play nice. And
Is Iowa Falls city owned or is that private?
they are city owned. One time they were private owned when they're AMR ambulance. That has since went away, and I think they're building a new station, another $1 million station I heard, so good for them. But, so it's been kind of a good thing and a bad thing. It's been definitely hard to decipher what's what thing so far is what I've found. But I'm working at it. I spend a lot of time, if you guys don't know what it all entails to run an ambulance service or be a part of a volunteer ambulance service, it takes every bit as much work as it does a paid service. There is no cut corners, there is no change in the laws, there's no change in the paperwork. It is the exact same. In the state's eyes, you are a paid professional service. So every piece of paperwork that any other service that is paid has in this county, we also have to have. And we also have to have the same T's crossed, I's dotted. No shortcuts, it's completely the same. The only thing that changes is when you go to paramedic, and then you have to do more for insurance. But other than that, it's the exact same. So the time that I'm putting into it is the exact same. The paid people do it. I'm just doing it for free and on my own time. So, which I'm happy to do. I don't want it to go away. I think Union Ambulance is a cornerstone of the county, let alone this community. It absolutely needs to stick around, and we need to keep it going. I feel very passionate about that, and I believe in that solely, and I believe it can. Some people on this service, I have been inquired about possibly a new truck from the township. They want to help out. They're on board. So, but I told them the same thing I'll tell everybody else. People comes first. We need to put our money in people right now. And we got to have faith in them. It ain't ideally to give people free money to get them into a class and put faith in them, but I don't see any other option. People are not going to spend
Hello.
their time, let alone their money, to go to those classes. Now I gotta clean the... That made me jump a little bit.
Good thing he wasn't sitting there.
Yeah, I was just sitting there.
I know.
Hands up, Junior.
Yeah. So that's kind of my 2 cents. So if I come and I say that we got some people interested in the class, I might be asking to use that budget money for education purposes. The good news is what money we do put out, the people, if they do the work and they do hold through on their word and they get through the class, the county's gonna give that money right back. That's what that levy money's for. I went rounds and rounds with Corey a little bit, and I had to go to the supervisors about it because there was a slight issue there because the union hasn't had a presence at the EMS council meetings, which we did this last month. That was Lisa's department. That was what Lisa was going to head and take care of. She didn't. Didn't go to a single one last calendar year. That wasn't really communicated to myself. Darlene wasn't involved in that at all. She said that we had to handle it if we wanted to be a part of that. It's not like a thing you need to opt out of when the county's going to give you money for education and equipment. That just seems like a bad move. So we did attend the last one last week for this month or this quarter. I can't remember if they're quarterly or monthly, but we did attend it. But they weren't gonna reimburse us if we put people through school because we hadn't been a part of that. So I had to go around with the EMS council director, and then it led to the supervisors, and supervisors said, we absolutely will pay for education to get people in EMS. That's what this whole essential service bond is for, and that's why we levy money. So. But I do agree, we do need to be involved in the county stuff. That is a must. So, I wasn't trying to argue the fact that, hey, we don't need to be involved to get access to that money. I was arguing the fact that we weren't involved because of lack of membership, and I thought I had somebody involved. And that's about as far as I have gotten so far in the last 2 or 3 weeks of this. So. Anybody got any questions for me?
No, we thank
Not right
you for
now.
what you do.
Yeah, sure. If you see Greg out there, thank him because Greg's been he's been my right-hand man here lately. So yeah, absolutely, see Greg, let him know that you appreciate him, because without Greg, I wouldn't be going on these calls, because I haven't had anybody since George passed away. I mean, Greg's been old reliable, and he's been filling some big shoes on, taking kind of George's spot, so. Yeah. But I have another county meeting to go to in Marshall County, so I gotta be in Marshalltown by 7 o'clock to go to a police, fire, and EMS meeting. No, but I'll be getting done with that too. As this calendar year wraps up, I will be wrapping up as service director for Loscombe, and I've already let them know that I'm focusing most of my attention up here, but I got somebody I'm training down there to take over for me. We're not just breaking it off and turning them loose, so. For the time being, I'll be dual duty for a little bit, but if you guys think of anything, you can find me on Facebook. I can give you my number. I'm not too hard to find. I work here in town most generally, so if I can answer it, I'll be happy to answer it. If I can't answer it, I'll try to find the answers to answer it. There's a lot of stuff I don't know, I'll be honest with you, but I know a lot of people who have done this a long time and who are helping me through this, so. Probably be some growing pains, I expect that, but we'll get through them. Put the word out to everybody that if they want to go to a class and we can get some people rounded up, send them my way. I'd love to talk to them. I'm going to be going door to door. I think I've told Cindy this and some other people. I'm going to go to door here when the weather gets a little nicer. I thought about doing it on Sunday, but I am going to go door to door, and I'm going to try to talk to everybody. And I mean almost everybody. If I can beat on your door and come talk to me, I'm going to talk to you. So I look forward to seeing everybody again. That's about all I have for you guys.
Thank you, Junior.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a good rest of your night.
You too. Drive safe.
Absolutely.
Shouldn't be anybody in that back. Consider for approval Resolution 22-03, adopt budget fiscal year 2022-2023 and certifying tax levies to Hardin County auditors. Whereas the City of Union, Iowa is required by state law to file an annual budget with the county auditor by March 31st, 2022. Whereas the City of Union, Iowa is required by state law to publish the budget estimate in the paper of the county not less than 10 days and not more than 20 days, and was published on March 4th, 2022 in the Times-Republican. And whereas City of Union, Iowa is required by law to hold a public hearing covering the annual budget of the city, and said hearing was held on March 14th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. at City Hall. Whereas there were no written comment or objections on file in the city clerk's office, and no individuals presented oral comments or questions or objections at the hearing. Now therefore be it resolved that the Union City budget for fiscal year 2022-2023 be approved, and the city clerk be authorized to certify and file the budget and certificate of taxes as adopted.
I'll make a motion we accept it, but I have a question. What would we do if somebody did object? I mean, if somebody came and said, I mean, what, because I've never seen that happen, but I'm just wondering. I thought about that coming down here, like, what happens if somebody sits back there?
Don't curse this.
I know it's already been one.
But you know what I'm saying? What the hell would happen? I make a motion to accept it.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Yeah.
Hurry up.
Hurry up.
Okay, we'll do a roll call. Carrie Simpson.
Yes.
Mindy Keller.
Yes.
Ashley Wilson.
Yes.
Rita Collins.
Yes.
Tom Bass.
Hey.
That's- Consider for approval Resolution 22-04, notice of proposed closing and vacation of alley and transfer of title to adjacent property owners. Do I have to read this whole thing?
Well, I emailed it to everybody. Have you guys all read it?
I have read it when I got here.
I read it when I got here.
Can you tell me what alleys it is?
Okay, so it's
Troy's,
Troy's, the half that's by Stephanie's,
the half alley going north from her?
yes,
Okay.
and then mine.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, so it's just those three that have been done previously by Jeannie Wilson and Barry Kaplan that were not done correctly.
Well, another one that falls into that is the one behind Mary Gale. Between Mary Gale and those Millers, I think it's Millers that lives there on the corner.
And see, there's another one.
That's where we had that issue with the tree, and that one was supposed to be done already, but it never got finished.
When you had a trailer house sitting
I
in
don't
there,
have any
and
record
there's
of
a
that
shed
one.
that would be considered on the alley. I don't know that that was actually an alley.
Well, it was, because ended up getting paperwork for it.
I was gonna say, at one time it was, because when Johnny Hanson and Glenda Schwartz got married, where Woods built their house, they had a trailer house parked in there. And there was an alley that ran through there. Now, we're talking back in this.
It goes north from there
Yeah,
by
it goes north.
By
Same way
Leanne's.
behind our house. There used to be an alley there, many, many years
I
ago,
don't remember that one.
because I used to mow Gid Martin's yard, which is now Dighton's, and he had that empty lot, and he had a garage there that he worked out of, and there was an alley there.
Behind you.
Yeah, but they closed that, they quit using it years ago.
Yeah. But anyway, I just didn't know if that one was on there. I'll find that paper.
Okay. So yeah, so this is just essentially to vacate the alleys, and then I was, like I said in the email, I was told that since we're a smaller community, I just had to post in our 3 places that we post in, and all is said and good. Well, that's not the case, it actually has to be published, and since it's a public hearing, the public hearing has to be posted in the paper not less than 4 days, not more than 20 days before the public hearing. So that's what this is for, saying that we're gonna vacate it, when the hearing is, where it is, the time and place, which we're doing it our next regular meeting. And then, so everybody that's listed in here has all paid their $1 for their portion of the alley. That the city agreed to sell it to them for. Now, one of your concerns was that the city shouldn't have to pay for the deeds or their certificates. And after the figuring out how much that was and talking to the attorney, and me having a personal interest in this, I agree with you. And we are more, Dan and I are more than happy to pay for our share of debt ourselves, to have the deed, or it's actually a certificate done. Because,
I guess if you buy a house, you've got to pay for the deed and title
yes,
and the land.
because
They're lucky they're getting it for $1.
it's, I wanna say, if I remember right, it's, and I could look the exact number up in the email that she gave me, between $200 and $300 per person. And there's, what, 9 certificates they have to do on here?
I don't think the city should have to.
I don't think they should
No,
either,
no,
but I
no,
don't
no.
think you're gonna get everybody on this list.
So, what, and this is up to you guys to decide, but I would go ahead, and it, like I said, it's up to you guys to decide whether to approve this resolution or not. But before the public hearing, have me send out a letter to these people saying, okay, you know, you agreed to buy this property, however, we have met with the attorney, in order to do the certificate, this is how much it's gonna cost. If you guys wanna follow through with this, this is how much you're gonna have to pay to get the certificate.
Oh, yeah, we should tell them up front.
And then, before we have our public hearing, and inform them, this is when we're having a public hearing.
Yes, give them an individual letter.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. And I don't think you're gonna get everybody, then you're gonna
No.
get some people.
That I don't want it,
Yeah.
because
Well,
they
they
don't,
just can't. I mean,
Right.
especially nowadays.
Yeah,
So what happens then?
then it will just be just like how it has been, but it'll just be vacated so people can't drive up and down it.
So if one person on that alley doesn't wanna do that, does that vacate everybody's choice?
No,
it shouldn't.
So who owns, so the city of Union would still own the middle part of an alley, and both ends are owned by private citizens?
well, if it's vacated by the city, then, well, I don't know how that would work. I guess, because with it being vacated, it's, the city's released, I would assume, of liability from it.
Yeah, you would think, but.
Yeah. I mean, that's something I could ask the attorney.
Well, and then you go to where there's supposedly an alley going through properties. The property owners have maintained them for how many years?
Yeah,
For the
Right.
most part, yeah.
I know everybody
So-
on our alley has.
So what would it be if we just, other than what city-maintained alleys are, just vacated any other thing that is considered an alley? Just vacate them and just leave things
Does
as
that
they are?
release us from liability?
I don't know. Can you,
I can ask her.
I mean, if you own your end of the alley, and who's ever on the other end owns theirs, and nobody wants to pay up to $200 or $300 in the middle, if we vacate
See,
that
that's a
alley,
mess.
are we released from the liability of that?
Right,
Is it no longer city property, and then whose property is it?
right.
well, there used to be an alley that ran over here where Dave parks his truck and where the fire truck was. There used to be an alley that
It
went
still
through
is,
there,
yeah,
all the way through.
yeah. We plow
and
it.
that's city-maintained.
Yeah, we plow that alley. We plow it from, well, actually, the phone company does they do theirs.
No, I'm not talking about
No, I'm
that.
talking about right, but we do that whole alley, all the way down to the
Because I remember when
foreground.
Grandpa lived down there, there was
Yeah.
always an alley there.
It's still there. And then behind the condos, there's another alley that the city plows. It goes from the condos, actually it goes from Main Street, all the way down past behind the church, behind Mulaney's, across the street, behind the condos, all the way down to Steve Reese's corner. That's a city-maintained alley,
Yeah. And that actually is an alley there.
yeah.
Well, there used to be a road too, where Donnie Gracie lives. That far road next to that fence, there used to be a road that run down there and came
Yeah,
out.
I don't know.
And
whatever.
that got vacated.
It
Is
just,
it just got vacated, or did somebody buy that?
I don't think.
Bracy's
anybody
wanted
bought
it closed, it wasn't a road,
Yeah.
Well, it was a road.
Yeah, I remember.
Well,
the road.
but it was pretty grown over and they weren't
Yeah, I
mowing
know,
it,
but it was at one time.
City
a road.
Treehouse used to be down there.
Yes, it did.
See?
See, I know,
Yeah.
I remember.
We used to steal cigarettes.
We weren't in the treehouse together.
No, we were smoking cigarettes in there.
so,
I would just run that by him,
Okay.
you know, otherwise,
Maybe
Move
you just be
forward.
better off to vacate all the alleys.
well, that's where we're running into a
Yeah.
problem. You don't, people say, well, there's an alley that runs through here. Well, for as long as I can remember, it's been grassed over and never used as an alley.
yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
There's
I
very
mean,
few alleys, really, in town.
Just
Anymore.
vacate any questionable or so-called alleys except for the city-maintained ones.
So, but,
Well, I don't know
And
if I
just-
would make a blanket coverage, but you can start with these three sections of alley. But it would be nice if we have an incident like the last derecho, those was got us in trouble, like the one behind Mary Gale's. That ain't been an alley for I don't know how long.
no,
But it's in our alley, so that was our tree, we had to deal with it.
Yeah, it's been a fight for years with the trees.
And then her fence, and then that whole thing. So we gotta figure out legally, can we just vacate the alley and okay, we're done with it?
Okay. Yeah, I can find out on the other ones and.
But if we can, let's include that one.
Okay.
And this guy shouldn't have to pay the $300 fee
if this.
if we're gonna give the rest of it away,
Yeah.
basically. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and the $300 is to get the certificate so that when, if, like, we were to sell our house, we have the certificate saying that, okay, this goes with our abstract saying that we own this property.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
And the city can't do something like that. It has to go through,
Well, it has to be filed with
They'll
the,
have those.
If it goes on a deed, but
yeah.
how important is that?
Well,
I mean,
It could be
you're talking
very
about
important.
property lines and
I mean, yeah.
stuff like that, yeah.
Because, and I was talking to Joe about the house that he bought and tore down of Mom and Dad's. And like I told you, that guy's, whoever, I don't know what his name is, doesn't matter. The one that lives there by the maintenance shop.
Bigger.
Okay, he's telling Joe he owns clear over to these trees. I know, he don't, because when John Large lived in that house, he wanted to build a garage, but in order to build a garage, it was going to be a foot over on Mom and Dad's property. So he asked Dad, do you care? Dad said no. Well, he's got no, I mean, for a foot and a half, he's got no actual title to it. It was, but it's grandfathered in now. And you'd have to have that surveyed, and I was told that the stakes have been moved, and that's against the law. Whether they have or not, I don't know. I'm just going by what I was told. So,
so back to my question, how do you determine where all the
I think you
alleys
need to
are?
talk to the lawyer and see what options we have.
Well, we can move forward with this, and maybe everybody will step up and say, yeah, I'll pay. You know,
Yeah.
There'll be trouble down the road though, you're gonna run into.
well, my understanding was those alleys were easements anyway, and you couldn't build on it no matter if you owned it.
Right.
Yeah.
But according to the phone company, they don't have any usable, because the phone company used those, the gas company used those alleys to run gas and electric and phone wires. Phone company, last I heard, has abandoned all that, and now it's all on a new fiber system. They have nothing in our alleys. I don't know about the rest of the utilities, but my understanding is that every alley is considered a utility easement. So even if you bought the alley, you couldn't like build on it.
Right.
But that could change, that may have changed too.
All I know is when I bought that place of ours, my lot was 71 foot wide and 132 foot back. I've got the deed master to show that. What a lot of people don't realize is your property line don't start at the sidewalk. Our property stakes are 36 inches back from the sidewalk. Yeah.
Through the years, everything has moved, some of them are out, probably out in the middle of the road, you know.
Roads have
That's
even
just what I'm
moved.
The roads have
Yeah.
changed, and,
I know,
yeah.
but,
So, yeah, I mean, we can.
and I think there was a alley that runs through there behind Bud and Darlene's old house and our house. And Mrs. Ellis's house, and it runs straight up to the north. But people just, you know, they quit
Yeah.
using them, so.
Yep, I'm open for suggestions.
Well, I just think we need to consult the attorney and see what we really need to do and how we can go about it. Because, like Lacey said, if they ever decide to sell that house, then they need to be able to add that on to their property.
Yeah, I mean, I say we can still move forward with this, and then I can ask, and I can do the letters and send those out before we have the public hearing at the next council meeting, and then I'll ask the attorney about if somebody doesn't want to do that, pay for it, and then ask about the other alleys as well.
Like, I don't know what you can do if one guy at this end buys it and one guy at this end will pay the extra, but then the guy in the middle don't want.
Yeah, my main concern is liability for the city. I mean, if we're gonna wash our hands on it, we need to wash our hands of the liability of it and not get into another deal like we did up there with that tree in an alley that ain't been an alley for 40 years. But on the books, it's still our alley. You know, it was supposed to be quitclaim deed to Millers and Gales and all them people, but it was never filed. Whatever information was, we got the copies of it. In fact, I ain't so sure Donaldson and I didn't go to the lawyer and get caught up on that. And I think that's when they sent it back to us and said it was completed. But if we can wash our hands of all like that one, then I'd be all for that.
Okay.
Need a motion, something?
Well, I'll make a motion that we move forward just to see where we're at, far enough to get to the public hearing. We can stop this at any time, right up to and including the day of the public hearing, which will be at the next regular meeting, right? So I make a motion, we move forward to get the more info and notify these people, let them know what you found out, the fees involved, and get that letter sent. And so the motion will include what you spoke of, plus
Yep.
moving forward with the resolution.
Have a second?
Second.
Do a roll call vote. Carrie,
Yes.
Mindy,
Yes.
Ashley,
Yes.
Rita,
Yeah.
Tom.
Yes.
Consider for approval the annual city insurance payment to ICAP due by April 1st. You already paid it. No.
Well, I haven't paid it yet. It has not been paid yet. I just made a copy of it. I have the check writ out, jeez, wrote out. I went to Southeast Polk, sorry.
Understandable.
Has it gone up, or is it the same as it's always been?
It went up like
Oh.
$200.
Yeah, I make motion to pay it.
Second,
I second.
all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, moving right along. Discuss an action on UBA letter that was presented during the public comments at last meeting. Anybody has that?
Are you speaking for him today?
Apparently,
What are the 3 grants?
one is for the pool, and that was a $10,000 grant.
The pool, the park.
Park was a $7,500
I
grant.
remember those 2.
And then the other one, I don't know what it's called, but it's to buy her, to pay her to document the town for the big
We haven't
celebration.
seen, that grant hasn't come across this table.
I didn't think so, so I can't give no information on that one, but I know that's what it's for. They wanna hire Rebecca to go interview the locals, the older locals, and get their
Well, what's
story.
the amount, the city's amount on that one?
I'm sorry, I can't give you
Yeah,
information
so I
on
think
that.
that 3rd one's gotta be out of the question.
It doesn't say anything in there about that one.
But
I don't know what that.
I think that one.
I'm sure
there
it's
is-
gonna be minor, but we
It
haven't
was like
seen it.
a $3,000
Yeah, I think she
or
did.
$5,000 grant,
3,500.
okay. And I don't think there's any money that has to be put up for it or anything like that. I'm not sure, I don't wanna be quoted
Yeah,
on
That would
that,
be nice to
I'm
see.
not quoted on that.
Right, for me.
Yeah,
but,
before we approve grants, we need to see what we're voting on.
I have an issue with the park one. I don't approve of what trees and bushes that she wants planted. in the
I'm
park.
with you.
Yep.
I would
That's why
approve
we-
the park fund as long as we, and maybe the UBA also, discuss what gets planted.
Yes.
I-
You can't have a fruit bearing tree.
You cannot have apple tree there in the park,
And
Thank you
nuts
for that.
and then the berries,
Yeah.
and,
No.
They shoot it with wrist rock.
I mean, we got enough issues with the rocks and
Yeah.
whatever else, their own little toys that they bring.
That's where there needs to be a meeting of the minds before anything is purchased or
But I have no problem approving for the grant,
to go forward,
but,
with stipulations.
yep, with stipulations, and I'm all for beautifying the park up a little bit. I mean, it's already pretty, but. it
Well,
needs to
here's
be-
the deal. I don't have a problem with giving $1,000 from the park fund to the thing, because that money's in the park fund.
Yep.
I don't have a problem with giving the pool $2,000 for that grant money, because the pool has $2,000 in their fund. I think what I have a problem with is the language of the grant itself.
I didn't read all of that, so I don't know.
Well,
honestly.
with the planning of those things.
I have an issue with the
Yeah.
diagram of the park.
Yeah. And
Didn't they
that,
cut down trees to give more sun to the park? I know they were up there digging up plants and stuff.
Well, some of that had been in there so long and it was terrible shape and people were wanting stuff out of there.
To
Period.
put fruit trees in the park is not a good idea.
Don't agree with that either.
You got apples, they drop, you got wasps and bees.
They rot and then kids run through it and it's everywhere,
It's
on
a-
the sidewalks.
And if you've got kids that are allergic to honeybees or wasps, and you got apples on the ground that are rotted and they're eating off of those, a kid gets stung, who's liable?
Mhm.
Last summer it was pretty bad with the wasp up there.
Well,
They were
it's
bad
been bad
everywhere.
anywhere.
Yeah, we can't have
That would
acorns
just
and
add
crab
to it.
apples and that kind
And
of
just
stuff.
not to mention the lawn mowing. Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have walnut trees, I know how.
But if we're gonna be liable, like, I mean, if it's going under us and all that, then
We need to have an agreement.
We should have a say.
So what are they looking for the council tonight on this?
well, when I was presented those grants, I was told that they were due by February 25th.
That's what I thought.
So that's why I'm a little confused, and I'm gonna, my personal opinion, we got approved, they got approved for those grants, but then they got denied because, or
Tax
or
ID.
put on hold because of the tax ID thing.
So I helped them make the video to explain how the grants worked. It was due the 25th, but if there were issues, you have until March something to get those resolved, if I remember correctly. Sorry.
So,
March something.
yeah, I don't know what something is.
Sorry.
So I'm assuming we have to, I'm taking it we have to make a decision now.
On what?
So,
If we wanna go ahead and apply for
Offer
this
up our tax ID number.
tax ID number and submit to the $1,000, 2,000, or whatever.
The 1,000 and the 2,000.
Yeah, and then the UVA is gonna pay,
3750.
yeah. And so maybe that third grant is included in that 3,750, I don't know.
Those two numbers came with the original grants, I believe, the
Okay, so-
1,000 and the 2,000. The third one, I don't want to speak
Third
on
one was
behalf.
not given to me, and honestly, it's not even mentioned here of us paying anything for our third one. It says, the UVA will provide 3,750 towards the 3 projects, so I think they're planning on
Using out of that,
their
same,
third, for that third project, if it has to be. They just
kind of
need,
makes sense, yeah.
they just need. our
Once they
tax
get all
ID.
that grant money, then they'll figure out how to get,
But if you, oh my goodness, sorry. Correct me if I'm wrong, if we're using city tax ID, the money comes to the city. We
yes,
disagree.
and that
and
was
I
my
think
next
it has to
question.
probably be listed City of Union.
Right,
And using our tax ID, what could go wrong? Anything?
I don't believe so.
Well, it says right here, it says, as the fiscal sponsor, the city would be willing to receive the grant funds and pay the bills associated with the projects with the grant funds. So essentially, we would receive the fund money and then we would be responsible
We
for
would
paying the
disperse them to
bills
whatever
with the funds.
the
Yeah.
contractors at the UBA.
Yes,
Okay.
That's what it sounds like.
So
Yeah.
it couldn't go under nonprofit though, it has to go under the government organization.
Yeah. Well, the outgoing money from the city,
170C1.
yeah, is already there.
Well, no, but I mean, if they use the city's
ID.
tax ID number, it has to be,
It can't
Under
be
the city
under
of
a
the union.
nonprofit.
Right,
Right.
right.
so the.
Basically, the
grant needs
betterment
to be
committee
reviewed, done.
is out of it, except for the behind the scenes getting the projects
Yeah.
done.
Yes, except for what.
It's
what at the
almost
top.
like a good faith agreement.
Yeah.
Let's work together, hands in hand,
How's that,
smile and,
how's that gonna work?
maybe
I'll
we
be
should
fine.
put all this.
how's that gonna work, Tom?
Remember, the road to hell was paved with good intentions.
Oh, I know, hon, I know. No, I mean, as long as, and I think that, I honestly think the UVA would be, most of those members, and I'm using the word most, would be okay with not putting apple trees in that. I do think they'll agree to that.
I do too. No apple trees, no nuts, no berries.
No.
Lilac
We
tree.
we don't
Yeah,
want
that's
a
my favorite, that's
whole
mine
bunch
too.
of trees stuck in
No.
that park.
No, that
I mean,
park
the
is for the
trees are
kids.
nice.
It's already
but-
hard enough to mow in there.
That park is for the kids.
Well, the-
Yes, it's for us to
Exactly.
sit and enjoy every now and then, but it's mainly for the kids.
Now, I'd like to see the planters out front really done nice.
Well, and I think
There
that
you
was in the
go.
grant, I think that was in the
You
grant to a
know,
point.
that eliminate some of those trees and maybe put a little more money that way.
Yeah.
One other thing, the high school will be doing
like community service here shortly, where they come to all 5 towns. So I don't know, I can ask whoever's in charge, who needs to be contacted. But you guys need to sign up for,
Well, John always did. They painted,
yeah,
yeah, they come over, they painted the basketball courts. That all came from the school.
They
Okay.
painted bridges before.
Yeah, they painted curbs.
We got-
We've done it in the past.
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, but
Yeah, it
I
is
know
kind
was it last year? No, last year they did the court, right?
Yeah.
I believe
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah, you need to get them here, make them clean.
What do we have to do that?
I'll talk to Mr. Silver and find out. And then I just need, or we'll need a list of what needs done.
You're just gonna be paying it again?
I made my son get out and help paint it, and I make him help. all
They
the
only
painting.
have a
It's good
certain
for 'em.
amount of time though,
They do
I
the last
forget.
3 hours of the day.
3 hours.
Yeah, I used to have to go and help, so.
I was trying to remember because, you know, we had a big list one year, things we'd like done. Well, some of it, you couldn't do it in that amount of time. You just couldn't.
Well, and last year they sent a bunch to the middle school, but why can't the middle school kids do the middle school? Why is high school going? I mean, they're old enough up there to be doing, picking up sticks
Yeah.
and, yeah.
And half of them, they take walks a
Yeah.
lot, so why can't they be out there picking
Yeah,
up sticks?
I'll get ahold of him and find out.
So. Okay. You good with these two? Except for the park.
Yeah, I guess I would make a motion that we pay the $1,000 and $2,000 respectively on the 2 grants with the expectation that the UAB, or what is it called?
UVA.
Work with the council on planting the permanent trees.
If there's trees.
And that would be my motion.
Yeah, at least on the park end of it.
On the park end of it.
The pool's
The
pretty-
pool,
Pretty cut and
I don't have a
dry.
problem with the pool, because they got plenty of money.
Now, that third grant, like I said, if their tax ID, and they're not asking for any money from us. So they're, and if their tax ID is not valid, they can't get that third grant to get that documentary made up. And yes,
Yeah, but
I'm
that's
like in a
tough
bad
when
spot
you
bringing
don't
this
have
up
it
because-
We don't
sitting in
even
front
have
of you to even see.
Since I'm the one behind the project, do you want me to explain a little bit about the project?
You
Or?
can, but without the grant.
They
Yeah.
want the grant information and I don't have that.
Oh, I do.
You have the,
She sent it to me in an email and I totally forgot. I'm sorry. Hang on.
Send it to the city and maybe you can print it real quick, Lacey.
Oh, I was gonna say that, like that $1,000 and that 2,000, you don't pay that up.
No, just ask
No,
them.
it would
It'll
go,
just- in that lump sum of money.
we would give it as the bills come in, you know, and because.
we gotta spend 1,000 on the park out of our own money and then, so
Yeah,
the park
because
fund will be 8,000.
The closing paperwork is kind of, yeah.
Funky. Well,
It causes your hair to turn this color,
To close out a grant, I mean?
that grant.
Oh,
We don't even know anything about it.
Because you have to show
I know,
all,
but
everything that was
still.
bought.
she's got the
Yeah.
whole grant, she's got the park grant.
The school's doing it for their, they have some things they need for grants, like some teachers are doing it. So, because that's how I found out, because Ben Petty's wife emailed me, because she thought of us here if we would want to do it. And then UVA had already. And I think the majority of UVA is they want to work with the city, is what I was told.
Well, yeah, I think that would be nice, but other than right here, there's been no communication, and it's like sending a third person in, and there you sit, you know?
Okay, just got your.
And I'm uncomfortable representing them
You're okay.
while I'm a city councilman.
When you didn't respond, I figured.
I would caution if there's 3 council people
And
there.
they're all three on the UVA.
They're not though, there's just me and her,
Okay, good girls.
I think
And we don't discuss.
Okay.
and we do not discuss it. We
Yeah,
talk
and I'm
about
glad,
it.
I'm glad.
My son's on the board, it's Dee, Diana,
It's on,
It's all on the bottom.
yeah.
We don't ever,
Yeah.
So did they come up with any more good stuff to do?
Our next meeting is the 22nd. But I do try to,
Street lights
I
and
do-
Christmas decorations.
I
we should
do
put on
try
the
to
list.
separate, guys, I want you to know.
I would
that.
like to open a conversation about street lights, new street lamps
Mhm.
and poles,
Mhm.
and Christmas decorations. It's about
Mhm.
time for an upgrade.
I was Googling that last winter and I couldn't.
Just something for in the future. That
Yeah.
would be,
Fully agree.
next time you go through New Providence, check out those little ones they have there. I just think
It was
they're,
beautiful.
yeah.
I know,
But aren't they wired underneath the sidewalk?
No, I
And
know.
They
we
are.
looked at that a few years back, and you're talking some
Yeah.
big money.
anything that looks good is gonna cost.
Yeah.
It seems like.
But I mean, just something to think about and look at grant money for.
Well, I noticed in Eldora, they have their poles wrapped, and each business or organization that represented that pole's name is on there.
We got room for 1 pole then. Or
Well,
maybe 3.
when they wrap it, it's people pay money
That's
for,
what I mean.
in
Yeah.
memory of. They do it every year around Christmas
But they're,
time,
like for Hy-Vee, there's one up there for
I'm
Hy-Vee and stuff, so.
if they sponsor a poll, I suppose.
Right, right,
We could do 3
But I-
poles. We could maybe do 3 poles.
2
Yeah.
ounces.
Got 3 businesses. It's gonna be a little short on that.
Well, you know what scares me, that one down
At
here.
Everett's, yeah, or Bernard.
I'm waiting for that to go down, and hit
Me
somebody.
too.
I remember, there was one right out over here,
Well, all the bases need to be redone.
and said something, that's leaning, it's gonna fall, something's gonna happen. A car no more than went down the road, and that thing went,
Yeah, yeah, they're in pretty bad shape.
so, you know, who's liable for that?
City.
it's your pole.
Well, I'm surprised that one's still standing
Yeah,
after the
me too.
derecho,
Yeah,
and the micro derecho. Gary says it's all these windmills they're putting up. Gotta blame it on something.
I agree, I think we're more windy because of the windmills.
One good thing about windmills is you can get a lot of grants from them,
No, we're not getting.
especially in childcare. And
from windmills?
Those great big ones,
they have childcare grants.
who wants to sit and
From
listen to
the
those
companies
things?
that
Wow.
use the wind farms? Really?
Yeah, the only reason I knew is because we were looking into it, but then where I lived, the village I lived in, they said no. they
Yeah.
didn't want
Probably you can't get them in Hardin County, because you don't have wind farms in Hardin County.
Well, that Jay, that, whatever he is, at Heart of Iowa,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
They lived in that beautiful house on the Gladbrook blacktop. The windmills were right behind them, and they sold that house because of those windmills.
Because of the noise, or?
They
Yeah.
are loud,
Yeah,
but
My sister's in Oklahoma, and they built windmills around her house, and it even screws up her phone reception.
Oh, there's a lot of people having medical problems too with them. Washington DC, look at them at that time.
nice, nice.
All the green people.
say Union's got the cheapest gas right now compared to Des Moines and all that.
Yeah,
Nice.
down here,
Really?
yeah.
I wondered if
I
they
wish it
forgot
was
to
true.
change their sign or not.
Well, maybe we should go, no, it's the same. It's the same, 'cause I got gas over yesterday.
What is it, 379 down there?
Yeah.
I paid 389 in Eldora yesterday.
It's 389.
399 in Conrad.
Over 4 and,
No, it's 379.
I, oh no, that's what it is down there, but I got E85 today, so it was only 299, but
And Altama or Meskwaki,
but that goes through.
359. That's a long way.
Crazy.
We don't actually get that much from Russia, so why is,
It's a world economy. That's what they say. I don't get it either.
You blaming Russia on the prices of everything going up. Those prices were going up long before you went to war.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So whose tax ID number is on this one?
Probably theirs.
It isn't any good
Is
anymore.
it
the
501,
same as on the
50?
4720 is the last.
Yep. Yeah, the one I had was the one that they originally put together at the beginning of February, so.
4720.
I'm assuming these were all done at the same time.
Yeah.
It would be nice though if they let us know ahead of time, like the library did.
So it looks like UBA is gonna put up 700 towards it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So for this one, you're not asking for any money from the
There's,
city?
yeah, they're
No.
not, they're not asking. They just need our tax ID. That's the only reason why I was bringing it up on, when you motioned. Because if you don't put that in your motion, then they won't be able to get that. But then I feel guilty in asking because everywhere I turn, I'm involved there.
Small town living.
I know, but
I guess I just don't know. The pros and cons of using our tax ID number.
Yeah, it's,
The only thing I think it's because theirs isn't.
Well,
I
that-
can't
he
use
knows
theirs
that.
and then-
Yeah.
no, he's wondering if there's any pros or
Oh,
cons
if they're-
using the
Is
cities.
there, could, you know, one
Is
could
it
go
gonna come
back
back
on
on the
us.
city? But I
No.
don't think so, so.
I don't know.
My belief, it might make it look,
So I
we're doing
guess
something.
down here it says, have you previously received funding from Hardin County Community Endowment Foundation name? Whereas I know the city has.
Well, then that would probably have to be
So, well, she
changed.
hasn't checked no, so,
The Union Betterment probably didn't, when she filled that out, she was doing it under the UBA.
Right, which all this would have
Yeah.
to be redone.
So it will
Yeah.
have to be redone. So there's a better chance we may not get it since the city's received these kind of grants.
Well, last
I
time,
don't know.
my understanding was they applied for the grant, didn't get it because of some technical.
because a certain individual did not do
And
the
that was a different
closeout.
park, I think. And there was money donated
And,
and
then-
park.
and why didn't it?
She didn't do the closing paperwork,
So then
Now,
there's
whether
still a
that
good
was
chance.
ever done, but, since then, I don't know, because I know that was brought up.
Okay, so there's a good chance then we still may get these grants.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think, because I don't think that one ever went, and they bought those trash can things and
Well,
some
yeah.
different things. A lot of that was with donated resources. I know Donald Lawler had donated and
Right.
some other donations on top of the UVA money, and the grant money that didn't come.
Okay, so yeah, that's.
Does that ring a bell?
That's different from the one I was
Oh,
talking
okay,
about.
okay.
So apparently somewhere that got cleared up, maybe, because we've gotten one for the park since then.
Oh, since then.
Well, since the one that came for the garbage bins and,
We never got that one though. That was private donations that bought that stuff.
no, it was through this. Because it had to go back and forth.
Does it hurt
back
to
and forth.
does it hurt
That's
to
where the
apply?
concrete and all that stuff. It was
I
like
remember
10,000,
But I remember one of the donators
but it
wanted
was,
her money back and we weren't gonna do anything with it.
Yep,
oh, that wasn't for this part of it, though. That was a different situation. I know who you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, run it through. Well, I guess my motion still stands, approve all three grants, using the city's tax ID number. That being said, I would like to have the council input on any permanent structures.
especially the park committee.
Yes, on the park
Yep.
grant application.
Yep.
That would be my motion, as confusing as it was.
Second.
Let's do a roll call on this. Terry,
Yes.
Mindy,
Yes,
Ashley,
Yes.
Rita,
No,
Tom.
Yes.
The communication
Yes.
needs to be,
and it's not gonna be me.
well,
No, it's not right.
that's just part of it, when you just get stuff thrown, then you got a bunch of questions and no answers.
Mhm.
And
well, the person that's setting this up ought to be coming and
Well, she
explain.
was down
Well, the
in
person that
Texas.
set it, so that needs to get with the clerk or the mayor, because the signatures need to be different now.
Yep,
It can't be Dr. Cynthia Knight anymore, it needs to be City of Union representation.
exactly.
So, as long as everybody understands that.
And I will inform these guys at the next meeting, which is on the 22nd, so.
And that's before the.
I don't know.
That's before.
They
the
may get a
grant.
hold of you tomorrow. I
This
don't know.
one says something.
Everything was the 25th,
By the 17th of March.
okay,
If,
the
yeah,
$3,000 one,
yeah, it
So
says,
that's,
3 days.
okay.
yeah,
yeah.
Someone will get a hold of you someday. And it'll probably be me. I motion we adjourn.
Yeah,
I motion we adjourn.
have her redo what needs to be redone, she can email them to you.
Okay, and I'll bring them down to you guys.
and copy the city
Yes,
on the email.
yes.
Every email pertaining to these, I would like to see that.
Okay, I'll figure that one out. I'll have that one.
Well, just Cindy can do, who's ever emailing it to you, just have her copy the city,
Okay,
and send it to the City of Union at the same time. And then that way, it's done.
perfect. Oh, well then, okay.